Hey everyone, how you doing today? Thought I would do part two on working on this Recon SV for XCaliber's challenge. I found a new location to work on it. Place out in space that's pretty well lit, so I'm kind of liking that. I was taking some screenshots of the Persis here yesterday, and I'm like, hey, this would be a great place to work on things. It's space, but it's bright. What more can you ask for? Basically, why I like the space over the land right now is mainly due to my computer. It's never, I can handle it, especially when I turn up my fan speed, but the being on the ground, it seems to tax my video card a whole lot more. And if I don't like ramp up the fan speed on the card itself, then it starts getting warm and it starts kicking on and things like that. So I prefer, if I'm going to sit out and work on something like this for a long period of time, to do it and not use as much power to do it, I guess you could say. So what I'm doing is I'm kind of blowing away this back area. Right now what I'm looking at is I like the, although it's a little bit on the skinny side, maybe I'll fatten this up down here a little bit, but I like the profile and the how wedged it is, or this angle coming back. But over here in the back, it just sort of broke off from that entire look that it had going on the front now into like almost a different kind of looking ship. And although it might be practical that way, I'm going to try to change the back area to kind of blend in better with the front area of the ship to keep it all kind of uniform. So what I'm doing right now is I'm trying to figure out a way that I can take this and start sloping this entire section down over this way. And it's going to be a little bit tricky because there's nothing really that, like on the blocks that I can use. There's nothing that really is going to make that work wonderfully well right off the gates, but what I'm doing is experimenting with the idea of having like some kind of smaller edge lip over here. But ultimately what I want to have done is I want this area to slope down so I can start putting in the parts, but I want it to be uniform with the angle on the front of the ship. And just trying to figure out how I'm going to go about doing that right now. I think what I'd really want to do is kind of look out of the box here a little bit and build up something that kind of goes at an angle about like this, maybe extending out from just past where the doorway is supposed to go. Here, but what angle should this be at? Probably not that angle. Let's go over to this other block set here. It's a little tricky here. So okay, so we got the one wedge set on the top, different one on the bottom. They do match the angles, but it's a little weird here. Let's try this and just see what happens. Often you won't know until you try. And I can go down one block because the door height that's 4 blocks high there, so it will still fit. I'm just trying to see what would happen if I went in with an alternative block set, and I spaced it 1 block row back so I can get that nice clean line right there too. That was intentional. Kind of sits in below the wings, matches the same angle, but now what it's really going to need to do is go downward quite a bit. Start here, but I think I actually want it to start going downward a little bit closer. Maybe just again past that doorway. And we're using 2 different angles in this set here too. So we got one angle there and then a different angle. Try to use as much different kind of wedge shapes as you can. With Empyrion we don't have that many options, but when you can make things a little more curvy, it can look better, definitely. I've mentioned this in some past like videos, but ultimate goal is I want it to look as least Minecrafty as possible. In other words, I don't want it to look blocky in the end. So if I can make it so you can't really see blocks, then I'll be definitely happier with it. Alright. So, okay, well this is kind of presenting a nice little opportunity maybe to stick in a larger thruster in this location here, or a couple of them. Let me take this down another row here a minute. Okay, so just try to fit some of these. So I'm looking at reverse thrust right now. I got to figure out the strafing and the other stuff. Man, I wish these were shaped. That's what kind of sucks. There's no like bigger shaped SV thrusters. You know, like the CV ones where you can pick a different design pattern there. I'm gonna build this out one more row while I'm at it here. Make a little bit more room. Okay, and then try again popping in one of these. But the ship, the size, like a medium-sized ship, which I'm trying to build here, I do not think will look very good at all if or if I try to use the little dinky thrusters. I'll need a whole bunch of them, and that's not really that effective. I don't think these bigger ones are going to provide more thrust. I don't know if that's going to be enough though, but I'm thinking this is going to be a steel-hulled craft as what I'm building out of right now. Maybe I'll change some blocks in the front nose area to hardened steel. Still not entirely sure if Reforged Eden allows for here, I'm going to put this out. Combat steel on SVs. I'm sorry, not did I say Reforged Eden? I meant vanilla. I know Reforged Eden does. Okay, so alright, so what I'm going to do, just take this back just another row yet. Just want some room for it to be worked out here. Trying to get that position here far enough back. I wish this, yeah, I wish I could shape that thruster. That would be cool if I could put the angle on it. I did want this thing fairly quick. I mean, it's for being a recon type of craft, I would want it to be kind of agile. It's not going to be packing a lot of weaponry or anything like that, but it will have some. What if I played with this a little bit and had one back and then one that came forward a little bit like that? Now that would provide some pretty stout reverse thrust, but it's also using up a lot of space that I could put in launchers or something. And if you're, well, you shouldn't be going in the door if the thrusters are running, but I don't know if that'll, that still could burn you. Or I could try to put them out further. It's gonna be tough. It's gonna be pretty tough to get this part right. Here, I'll take away those for now, and let's build this out even more. So down to there, but then this is sticking out so far there. Alright, so here I'm going to put in some temp blocks back a little bit so I can kind of position this thruster back a little more. Get it at least another row back. Let me rotate it too so it's facing that way. Alright, and then let's try to get something on the bottom here. How would I go with this little this wedge here, but that has a bit of a front edge on it. Alright. Kind of would work. That probably would be enough rear or reverse thrust. Maybe. Gotta start thinking about strafing strafing thrust and things like that too. Okay, so another thing. Okay, so I got the floor here for the cockpit. It would be kind of neat to at least get a couple littler strafing thrusters in this front area, although there would probably be more in back. But again, this particular design here, if I go with these better ones, are not shapeable either. So let me take a look at these really old school ones. I hate to use these because they kind of suck for, these are 334s where these are 144 port. So these other ones are twice as powerful, but of course they're one block longer and not shapeable. So if I was going for looks, I'd want to use these. But the shapeable aspect, I think, would be a definite bonus, and the size would allow them to fit in this location here. Okay, so I'm going to do something a little different. I'm going to pop in a couple of them, and then we're going to modify this block strip here so it fits right again. And oh man, that block there too. Let's experiment with this. Okay, so I'm running that angled set right now. What if it went with the other set? Like that. The whole point is so I can keep those covered up on the front, like kind of like what's going on now. And then maybe, I guess I'll probably have to just make this whole part over here match correctly, which it will. Okay, so that really is not much noticeably different, except it gave me just a little bit more space over here to pack those thrusters in. So now I'm curious, should I just run a strip out this way a little bit? Nah, I want it to come back up. I like some of that, so we don't want it to go out like that. It's going to make it look a little too thick, I think. So just round this off a little bit more here. And then try to angle this up at this point. That may work. So keep going with that a little bit more in here. Alright, not too bad. So it is bulkier there, but that'll probably be helpful actually to get more parts installed in here and have a little bit more room to work with inside the ship. And I thought it went up a little bit too far in there, but I do like having that where it's kind of coming up there as well. So yeah, let's stop it right about there, and then I'll straighten it out in this section there. Let's fill this in a bit. And now to connect the two pieces together here. So now it's just going at this 45 here, so we'll want to... See, I do kind of like, I know this is all 22.5 and this is 45, but for some reason I like it, and it allows for the doorway to be placed where it is, not further away. So I'm going to go to a different angle set yet, and that is dealing with these pretty basic blocks. Just doing a straight 45 down here for now. See how this will play out. So now that matches with there. Okay, so the actual floor, or where the landing gear coming down, would be that block row here. So this would technically need to come down one more block row, but let's change the angle and make it a little bit more curvy here. So it's kind of matching up with this angle, and then curving this way, and then I'll straighten it out across here. See how that works out. So now, what would make sense to me is actually if the door was pushed back one more block row and sat right up on top of there, and then this would be the top of the door, like that. If I run with a 3x3 door at least. Alright, so another question, would this allow me to pack in a side mount turret that's not blocked in the area? That'd be kind of a neat thing too. But let's see, I think I'm gonna have to go right here. Let's try it. Let me grab a turret here. Oh, must have already had some turrets. Of course I did. I lose all kinds of turrets. Yeah, I lose stuff in the inventory all the time. And it's easier to find them new sometimes than looking through all the blocks there. Okay, so now we got a turret there. It is obstructed though. I didn't think about that. It's these little side pieces I've got here that are technically obstructing that, but that's not supposed to be a thing anymore. It really isn't supposed to be a thing anymore. I got an idea though. What happens if I widen this up here? This will force me to push it back a little bit further, but you know, again, trying to get it to look right is like super important. So now we're gonna change the blocks again. So now we're going with this 45 here, and I'm gonna change it to this here. This might be a good option. So we keep on getting all these like curves and a bit of a roundy pattern going on. Again, it might force me to throw that door back another block row, but I think that in the end would look kind of cool and give me a little bit more thickness in that section. I could blow away all these blocks I've got on the inside here. I have just a little bit more room inside the ship as well, which is always usually a good thing. Okay, can't get rid of that one. Probably get rid of that one too. I like to keep it really tight when I'm first building this, so I don't like to have too many extra bulky blocks just chilling in here that aren't needed. So when I go through and do the interior, I can fill that in with whatever I want and modify those blocks. So now let's see. So this part here should be pretty easy. Let's fill that in mostly, and let's throw up some matching straight blocks here to match that wedge. Alright, let's add some angled blocks in this section. probably leave the bottom ones out, maybe. Yeah, that'll work. Okay, so we'll just fill that in. Or not. It's looking a little curvier though. I kind of like that. Let me complete this part though too. Oops. I think I'll have to keep going with that there. And change the angle here to match the other angle. Alright. I lost my turret mount position there though. But I do think it looks a little bit better. Okay, so it's going to be so dreadfully important to get the wings right on this, so that's the part I'm most worried about, and I still don't really like. I don't like it necessarily angling in the way it is there. It wasn't really what I wanted to do in the first place. But how do I go around and do this another way? And for what it's worth, I don't know if these will help it fly much at all. Maybe a little bit because they're way up front, and the other strafing thrusters. I'm gonna try to slam them back here. In fact, let's try to at least ballpark figure out where a lot of other thrusters are going to go. And then there's going to be lift thrusters, of course, too. And since I did want this to have some storage weight on it, that'll come into play. But it does get tricky on where you're going to start adding these things. They're kind of big, especially the ones I want to use here. Let's just hypothetically say there was some lift thrusters. Up another block. Where do I have the wing kind of curved down a little bit there? Then I got to get the rear thrust in too. And that's another thing. I was actually thinking about going even bigger with the rear thrusters because they typically look better. But yeah, these are some big CPU sucking pigs. But they two of these on this ship, and it should have no problems moving forward no matter what. And that is kind of beneficial as well. But they take up some space for sure. See, now ultimately I wanted these rear ones kind of like a block row off from the ground, so I can actually put some landing gear on the bottom sides of those. And that is, this stuff isn't lining up back here. Get rid of some of these blocks. Okay, so bottom, let's just hypothetically draw out a little bit here so we know our measurements are right. So this is, thruster's got to sit above this. Oh man, did I not turn on symmetry? When did I even turn it off? Crap. Must have been really close. Okay. Why don't I see symmetry? It's saying it's on. What? I'm so confused. That's weird. Oh well. I guess it worked. What's wrong here now? Oh, okay. So you know what? Let's just pull this one for now. And the area below there. Okay, so forward thrust has to sit above this line. Let's go out this far with it for now. Build a little platform on the bottom for it. So let's say it was there, and then thrust going the other direction. Oh, they unequipped. 2 sets of them. Not even using hardened steel here. Let's see, we had a block row of separation here. And that allowed to get in some other thrusters above here. Maybe 2. Be some pretty decent strafing. I think I'm gonna have to. I don't think I'm gonna be able to separate these thrusters from one another though. It's tougher if you can do that. Block separation, but makes for a heavy ship as well. Okay, so I think that would cover 4 directions of thrust. Hopefully that would be enough for a steel hull build like this, but again, I did want to get some decent storage in here too. So important factor though I'm going to have to deal with is lift thrust, and that's going to take up some space. I don't want to go cheap on lift thrust, but I don't think I need the big ones either, so I'm going to try to go with size down, and let's yeah, I'm really wedging a lot of these together in a pretty tight spot right now. But it's also where I'm putting them. If you think about your interior space here, I'm keeping them away from the interior, so I can make this interior a little bit bigger, and I'm going to need to, because I'm going to need to fit like a warp core and a shield and storage and all the inside stuff that you typically want on a ship, or well, at least what I want on this ship. Okay, so far everything here is working out pretty good, except I don't have any down thrust. Now down thrust is usually where I go the cheapest on, because quite frankly you got gravity on your side if you're flying on planets. It is nice if you're gonna build like a space only ship though. My plan on that scenario is to try to keep all thrust balanced. If you can make it go the same direction every way, that is kind of neat. And you feel nice and agile and maneuverable in space. But again, with these down thrusters, I would like to keep these out of the way of disrupting the interior if I can, or at least by much. Maybe put them in the outer walls here. So what I'm looking at here is what happens if I took away a couple of those blocks and put a couple down thrust there. And then again, we'll put some more on the back of the ship too. Having some up front, some in back, I think is kind of nice for handling and maneuverability too. Since I'm using little ones here, I don't need as many. Let's just try that for now. Okay. Any other lift thrust on the front? I don't think I'll be able to fit any if I wanted to, at least away from the interior enough. So, now one cosmetic aspect of like this might be enough lift thrusters having 4 of these on the bottom, but they're all in back. So when you look at a ship like that, you would think, well, if it was sitting on the ground and it was going to lift up, that this would push the back end up in the air and put the nose right down into the ground. That is why I would like to find a home up here somewhere, somehow, to fit, even if it's a couple little lift thrusters in there. It's more of a cosmetic thing than anything else. But the way it's set up, not seeing many opportunities. Well, hold on. You know, since it's for cosmetic purposes and all these things suck up CPU, let's try these little medium shaped thrusters here. And simply replace a couple blocks that already exist right here with some little shaped thrusters. And then it wouldn't look so peculiar when it takes off. Now, I don't think that will really add any bit of noticeable performance to lifting, but more of a cosmetic thing. Okay, so on this part here, what I'd like to do now is kind of bevel this off, and I guess we're going to go with a roundish shape here. And I've got one angle coming into another here. Got to figure out how to deal with that. Could do that, but don't really like that. Does that work? No, that does not work. I think it would have to be this. No. I'll get this right sooner or later. It's not right either. Alright, this might be one of those situations where I just say, nothing's really going to work, so let's just go out of the box and add something completely different here to break it up. But what? Nah. Okay, I want something like that, but not exactly like that. What about one of these out of the way blocks? Oops. That would curve in the wrong way. Don't want that. Oh, there's the block I was thinking about. Yeah, that'll work. Duh. Okay, so then we could take that, round this off again using this. Ooh, no, that doesn't work there. It's so weird building and talking at the same time. It's like I don't normally do this. All these little thoughts I have are like in my head, and I just kind of keep on working on it. But I'm just trying to, I try to narrate this so you kind of get the idea of what I'm trying to accomplish and everything going through my head when I'm doing it, I guess. Okay, so this little chunk here, I don't necessarily like how it's swooping down at that angle right there. I think what I don't like is the 45 here. I think that would look better if it was a 22, but then that doesn't line up here right. But we can fix that. It looked a little thick there too, so I don't mind doing what I'm doing here. Kind of was a little bulgy there, even though I know I've got the 45 here, but I'm okay with that one. I just didn't like this part so much. Maybe right at the bottom. But yeah, this is the fun thing with shaping though. With the different angle sets you have in wedges, you get a lot of options and choices when you're doing this stuff. Like it's if you look at the different angles, even in this section alone, you got one angle set, a different angle set. This 45 is a different angle set, and it's just making a shape that's almost a bit, I wouldn't call it a sphere-like, but it's kind of, you know, if you kept on going out and copied those edges, you could end up with something like a sphere. But yeah, I think this angle shape here will work out a lot better because I'm trying to keep this, again, the aerodynamics rolling on it, or make it look aerodynamic at least. Not that it's going to make any difference in game, but... And I think what's going to happen is I'm going to have to push this doorway back another block. Or not. I don't know. I'd like the doorway to come out to the outer edge, but yeah, it's because I put those thrusters there too. That would be too close to the door if I kept it out where it was. So let's just scrap all this stuff again here. This is one of the reasons why it's entirely a pain in the butt to build in survival. If you look at the amount of blocks I'm constantly erasing when I'm going, that's just slow. It doesn't work in symmetry. You gotta get the multi-tool out to remove them. So much easier and better in creative to do these kinds of things. Okay, doorway, new doorway. Like the fourth location for the doorway. Oh. Okay, doorway slot. Now it's there. I guess, man, that front thruster just looks like it would just really screw you up, or the reverse thruster there. I don't think that's going to be a thing where I can keep that there. I'm going to say this, I mean, this ship isn't designed for combat. By packing all the thrusters in the way I am over here, it would make it pretty squishy without a shield, at least. So that's just something to keep in mind too. If you're building your own thing, it's better to separate the thrusters if you can. But it's also, you know, especially with dealing with bigger thrusters, by the time you add in all the separation between all the thrusters, especially if you're using a tougher material than steel that I'm using here, the problem is it gets really big, really fast, and really heavy. So you almost like, it almost like nullifies itself. You could have a bunch of thrusters on here, but all of a sudden it's just like, it's crazy on how much size you rammed up by adding all the block separation in there. And that's a problem I have with SVs for a while, especially in Reforged Eden, because the thrusters just have always seemed underpowered. But that's just, you know, how they were set up. Really trying to come up with a formation out here that would look good and keep it away a little bit. But it's just not a lot of room to work with right there. And if I go too far inward, the only thing I don't like about that is here you are walking in the door right by a thruster facing at your head. Probably not a good setup. So I might look at possibly sticking reverse thrusters in maybe a different location entirely. It's just not working out very good. So one idea would be to have a reverse thruster kind of slotted out on the top side. Maybe something like over there. I'd have to, of course, carve away anything in front of it. Something like that. Wanted to leave a little bit of space there so I could make a nice looking metal, like, wingtip kind of thing. Yep, all the planning. A little bit of work done. I'm not going to say I got a huge amount done on this one, but yeah, I don't want these videos to go too long. I just want to kind of keep on showing you what's going on in the design process. Again, everything is subject to change. This part here is getting a little more finalized for sure, but this back area is a mess yet, and I really got to do a lot of working that out. It's important to get these thrusters installed though, and try to make, you know, I have enough of them, but I typically don't do what I'm doing over here. It's nice. It's convenient for interior space. It's convenient keeping the heat away from the inside. But it's, I mean, you get pew, 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 and this whole chunk blows up. And you lose all those thrusters. And that is the problem with what I've got going on now. So I'm going to keep on trying to find a little bit more elegant solution. Maybe I make the wings a little wider too. And another thing that is always kind of freaks me out too. Sometimes I'm thinking like the ships are really, really big. Like this one here, it's like it seems like it's kind of big. But then let me spawn in something that I think is pretty similar in size. And then I'll realize that it's probably not that big. It's actually right along the size of the MX-9. That's about what I thought it was. And this is only, I think, a size class 1 ship. Yeah, well, just about 2. Alright, well anyway, I'll stop the video there. This will be released this weekend. Maybe Saturday, probably Saturday, possibly Sunday, but I got a few more things to do to it. I worked on a little bit more last night again, working on got the Wi-Fi installed, added a couple more LCDs. I got a few more things to do yet with it, and then I'll get that out to the workshop. And actually, I was taking some pictures of it, and that's this scene, which I had some more things spawned in here, is going to be one of the workshop blueprint pictures. All right, well, y'all have yourself a good day. I'll be back tomorrow for a look at the workshop, and have a good one.